Did you know that wildfires impact more than just the forests and the lands they burn? A new report by Texas A&M investigates the effects they can have on our drinking water. Today, I am joined by Dr. Garrett McKay to better understand this impact. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
We wanted to start off, what sort of impact can wildfires have on drinking water?
So it definitely depends a little bit on the context, right? And so a lot of the research that's been done so far has focused on western states and forested watersheds. And these kind of watersheds have historically provided a really pristine source of drinking water, but wildfires have, certainly the impact or potential to change that.
When we talk about that impact, what could it potentially mean for people or communities?
So some of the impacts that we know from previous research are that wildfires can increase the amount of sediment that gets into the water. And so this could be a challenge for water utilities because they have to remove that sediment from water. And so without, again, the specific context, it's hard to say what it could impact people-wise. But it could mean that water utilities need to find a new source of drinking water temporarily if they have that option, or do some changes in their treatment operations. Something we're looking at in our grant as well is this natural organic matter and how heat changes the natural organic matter in water and its potential to impact drinking water processes.
Well, I know that you guys are continuing to look into these things. Just last year, there were thousands of wildfires across the state, some of them pretty significant in size. Does this have a greater impact potentially on our drinking water?
So here in Texas, there's not as much research actually, and so this project is funded by the National Science Foundation to look into this a little bit more. A lot of the research is again focused on these forested watersheds, particularly in the western United States. But with increased, fire severity and frequency in different areas, we're hoping that the results from our study will be able to inform that question a little bit more. There's less research here on what the impacts are in Texas.
Something that leads to more wildfires is obviously the dry conditions that we see, the droughts that we see. Does the drought conditions kind of combined with the impact of wildfires maybe impacting our water, does that kind of compound the issue in any way?
Certainly the increase in drought and increase in wildfire, those are both going to impact water quality. What their synergistic effects, we're not really sure yet. That's something I think more research will help answer, but they both are increasing in frequency and severity, and those do have a pretty significant impact. With wildfire, I think the concern is more on water quality as opposed to water quantity, whereas with drought it's just a lack of abundance of water, and so that's something our research project is investigating.
What are you expecting for your next steps forward as far as your research?
Yeah, one of the things I'm really excited about for our project is this field study that we're doing. So we have some sort of sensors that we're going to put out in a watershed, and the idea is that we can sort of track at what time scale these impacts occur over a few years. And so we know that right after a wildfire, the impacts are most severe, but research has been showing that those impacts can last for several years, but it's still uncertain. And so we're hoping to answer that question a little bit more clearly.
Well, we'll have to check back in with you as your research continues. But Dr. McKay, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.